call the spaceships to Davenport, prepare for divanarchy, and interface with a couch in space. Welcome once again to the flying divan, the lunar lounge, the chaise from space. It is a space couch. We're just gonna do a little systems check because, as we always say, we live on the knife's edge of mortality out here in space. One thing we do have out here in space, other than the nice edge of mortality, is our wonderful sponsors. Brand new sponsor this week. It is Tiger Squawk Records. You want to check out, of course, Crudmouth. The Figure of Screech EP is out. Bitman's Lockdown Lullabies. It's really great. The single from Ghost Proxy, Night Vibes. You also want to check out Melting Rust Opera out of Germany with the updates. Virtual Terrorist is back with Gutter Mixes Volume 2. Cut Brain, Big Time Kill versus the Gothicals. It's Boston as all get out. Neon Roads from Industrial out of Norway. Sad Girls Club Volume 5 from Isserley from Sydney, Australia. The Gothicals are back with Animal Songs. You also want to check out Putting the Stars Right with some amazing stuff to benefit the Lovecraft Arts and Sciences Council. It's all good. So as we hurtle through the cosmos here on our flying space couch, are we live? Yeah, we're live. We're live. All right, just give me a shout out if anybody has buy a keyboard. Just want to make sure that we're coming in loud and clear because I'm super excited about today's guest. We're gonna get into all facets of this multifaceted individual. In fact, let's just get right on to it. Wait a minute. Let me just do a little bit of a systems check. Oh, okay. All right. We're good. Thanks, Brett. Thanks for Roy. Oh, okay. Friend of the show, Brett, and video game programmer superstar, creator of Hired Swords 2, and the upcoming Kronk. Roy is in the chat room. What's up, guys? Thanks for letting me know. Back. Speaking of guests, oh, that's enough jibber jabber. Let's just get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Emmett of NEZZY IDY. What's going on? Hey, thanks so much for joining us up here in the cloud. And I'm not talking about the internet. I'm talking about the word cloud, where asteroids are.
Wow, very cosmic.
Yeah, right. I have been. What's up to Adam Dickens? I have been enjoying your music all week. Normally, we like to start out with the latest release, but I'm super curious for some reason. What drew you to electronic music in the first place? I know we were talking about just sort of college life before the show started, but was there ever like a singular like moment, like a that's all she wrote moment, or was it sort of a slow matriculation into the world of electronic music for you?
Yeah, so I used to play the electric bass,
Hmm.
but I never got in a band.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my friends made electronic music, and so my buddy Barrett Clark and fellow Catabatic member who's in the band Polar, we went to high school together, and we became friends. And so whenever somebody's parents were out on vacation, we'd all meet at that parent's house. We'd do like all night noise jams.
Oh, nice.
So some people would bring just like a bunch of guitar pedals
Mm-hmm.
and just loop them on top of each other,
Oh,
with
okay.
no guitar, just like a loop,
Oh, yeah.
and just make make all sorts of noise music. And I had a Korg MS-2000 synthesizer, and I'd make synth noise. And
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, that was the thing. That's what did it for me, was not just making music by myself because I could do that, but to use music as a way to step out of my shell and
Mm,
make friends and have a sort of community. That's why I make music, is
that's
because of the
awesome.
community.
No, that's really impressive to me, just because a lot of people, like myself included, sort of gravitate, I find, to electronic stuff because it is so solitary. Like, oh, I can do all this stuff myself. I don't have to coordinate, with a drummer and have a weird power struggle with somebody. But you kind of had this wonderful opposite experience where you had this communal experience with electronic
Yeah,
music.
and I could feel both sides of that too, because there was a time when my friends moved away and I felt
Hmm.
really isolated and kind of depressed, and I got a Yamaha RS 7000 sampler
Hmm.
sequencer box. And with that, I could make all the parts of, like, drum synth,
Hmm.
and then I could sing over it or whatever, but I could compose whole songs by myself. And so, yeah, when I felt, isolated, around year 2000, I could, make whole songs, perform them live into a CD recorder.
Hmm.
And and yeah, that was another thing, because when I would make a song and I'd have it and I could share it with people I know, there's this very rewarding feeling that
Totally.
yeah, I just didn't compare to, playing video games that
Right. Yeah.
doing before. Like, it was a step above.
Absolutely. Oh, that's interesting. Like, doing large parts of the conversation we had before we started, I'm just thinking back to my old. I had a Yamaha QY10, and just those first steps into, like, kind of breaking that crack, that seal of, like, music, quote unquote, was something that existed on a CD, and it just was this ephemeral sort of, this is what it is. But getting behind the process of, like, I can do this myself and make it, and then I have it forever. It's an incredible sort of discovery. Hey, DJ D42 is in the chat room. Well, let's get into uh, what you got right now. Looks like you put out a track called "I Have a Name" last year on a big old compilation you can get at home right now for Pay What You Want from the aforementioned Catabatic label. And albums prior to that were from 2018, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. Let's get into a little bit of that stuff. This is I Have a Name and a little bit of the 2018 stuff. This is dope as fuck. We're just gonna jump right into it. All right, so that was cool. Brett in the chat room says, "Good stuff. Reminds me of Velvet Acid." Christ, nice work. Um, how do you feel about this? Not with, no, it's sort of been in the clip for a little bit. Like, how do you feel about some of your prior material listening back on it?
I'm very proud of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
and
be.
even though 2018 was a good number of years ago, I feel like it's still, recent
Mm-hmm.
work. Um,
Totally.
I've been making music for over 20 years
Mm-hmm.
and just not releasing that much lately, but also focusing on other stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I really am, proud of those albums, and I'm really proud to be on the Catabatic label and be part of that crew. Bunch of really talented people over there.
Pretty awesome. We can get that at nezzyidy.bandcamp.com and catabatic.bandcamp.com. Uh, Correct me if I'm wrong there. And
Yeah, yeah.
Spotify. Should we just be sending people to Bandcamp, or do you have a preferred
Um,
method?
I'm on Spotify and Bandcamp, and it's different music,
Okay.
so
Oh yeah. Yes.
people could do
Thank
whatever they
you.
want.
You can do a little internet journey on all things Netty Izzy, and there's a lot of material, and it's really great. Um, are you looking to put out anything in the near future with Nezzy, or is that on ice for a second?
Well, I'm sort of in hibernation right
Uh
now.
huh.
Through the pandemic, it's been kind of, I've been putting my energy in other places,
Mm-hmm.
but I have been recording lately. So, yeah, I recorded a song last night, and
Oh no shit. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I'm doing stuff. Um, yeah. So, yeah, I don't have a release, but
Mm,
basically, I'll just make songs here and there, and when there's enough, I'll be like, these look good together.
sounds
So,
good. The well, are you? Let's get into the process a little bit, if you don't mind. Are there any synthesizers or VSTs you're really liking these days?
yes, yeah, but I'm mostly hardware
Oh no
gear
shit. Okay.
oriented. Yeah, so you can see behind me, there's a modular synth up
Mm-hmm.
there, a couple of Electron boxes, Prophet keyboard, and uh, 303 303 clone and some effects pedals and stuff. And yeah, I have a that kind of oh yeah, Soundcraft mixer that's an audio interface. So it's like 24 input audio interface. And that's kind of how I like to go is I I have kind of like a live setup going in
Hmm.
here. I'm kind of jamming out and making different parts. And then when I feel ready, I record it in the computer.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I make sure it's all synced up to the grid.
Mm.
And then I can start doing editing, adding extra layers, and all that.
Oh, okay, so your track exists outside the computer. It sounds like for a good amount of time before you actually record it. It's not like you're setting it up and then just hitting save. You're jamming and then you find something and
Yeah.
okay, okay, dope, and then all right,
Yeah, and sometimes I'm just recording, like for instance, on the Electron Octatrack, it doesn't have a bunch of outputs. It has four outputs.
okay,
So um, I'll sometimes just like record each loop separately, so that later I can go through and just move it around in the software. I use Ableton Live.
okay,
And I've been using that for a very long time. I'm very comfortable with it, and it's uh, always going to be a part of my music making process.
all right. We have an upvote for Octatrack from Atomic Tom on YouTube. Uh,
Cool.
we are across Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube simultaneously today. So Uh, yeah, good stuff. Um, well, we're gonna ping pong a little bit because I want to make sure we get this in because this is just awesome. You are the practitioner of some amazing fractal art. We will bring this up on a screen in just a second. Um, Look at that! Isn't that cool? We'll do yet another one here. We can find these on your Instagram, uh, and I don't know. Like, I can talk the talk on music, but the visual art stuff, I'm pretty outside on. Um, how'd you get into this wonderful world of fractal art?
Yeah, I downloaded an app on my phone
Okay.
and I make most of them on my phone.
Oh, no kidding.
And yeah, and uh I render them on my computer. I contacted the person who made the app,
Mm-hmm.
and because I wanted to make higher resolution versions than the app would allow. And so he sent me this weird, um, like low level programming script that would allow me to make high resolution renders of the things that you make in the app.
That's
Uh,
pretty awesome. Like you had to reach out to find the
yeah, no,
programmer.
I've reached out to this guy a bunch. He's been very helpful. I've he's implemented features that I've asked for and things like that.
That's
And
cool.
but yeah, so basically, I don't know why I started, but I just, you know, I think maybe I felt a little stuck
Mm-hmm.
on music, and like I have so many preconceived notions about what I'm want to sound like and all these different ideas that I could feel sort of tangled up in my own like options, like
Mm-hmm.
just too many choices and which path do I go
Mm-hmm.
down. And um with visual art, I don't have any of that. I don't have this like identity of myself as a visual artist. So I would post on my Instagram an image a day
Mm-hmm.
every day, and I did it for I think over 8 months. And that was really good. It felt very like therapeutic.
Mm.
And but I was also just really surprised by what I was able to do. I was doing things that I didn't feel like I saw in other people's art.
Mm-hmm.
I I felt like I was, finding things that were, not from me. They were just some weird
Oh, interesting.
things. Yeah, it's actually a lot like modular synthesis in the sense that, an algorithm is like a set of the different patch cables
Mm-hmm.
on the synthesizer, and you're doing all of the art by modifying numbers of variables.
Okay.
So there's no drawing or anything. It's all tweaking
Oh
numbers
no
in
shit. Okay.
algorithms.
What's the name of
And
the app?
so this one is called Flamelit.
Okay.
And the guy who makes it, he also makes an app that's much more full featured called J Wildfire.
Okay.
And so you can, it used to be free. I think now the J Wildfire's like $5 or
Mm.
something. And it's like cross-platform, and he responds to support emails and stuff like that. Um, yeah, but it's just really crazy what you can do with that stuff.
Pretty awesome. I had You actually kind of answered a question for me a little. I was going to ask if you'll allow me to get a little woo woo for a second, if that uh, uncovered any sort of hidden meaning or, as we sometimes like to say, emotional truths for you. But is it fair to say that this practice allows you to kind of light up another section of your brain or sort of reset sort of your musical palette?
Yeah, yeah, I
Mm.
believe so. It feels like a, a spiritual practice
Mm.
or some kind of ritual to, make the art. I yeah, it's kind of hypnotizing. I just kind of get in the flow. I use my intuition
Mm.
and yeah, I use my experience from, making images in the past to help inform me, but sometimes I will go in a completely different area of trying a different algorithm and trying different parameters. And but yeah, like I really do feel like I'm exploring a part of reality. Um, like I'm steering a ship through the unconscious and like what am I going to find, because most of the time it just like looks like really boring normal fractal stuff. Like
Hmm.
when I hear fractal, like I think of Mandelbrot's and
Right.
you know Julia objects and different things, and more kind of like cliche type of things.
Right.
And
Just calendar
uh,
bullshit.
so yeah, if you just open up this app and you go through the random things, like it's not gonna look like my art, but
Mm.
um, yeah, I just kind of yeah, just modify variables and do some certain techniques that I've discovered, and all of a sudden, like I'll roll up on something really crazy and
Hmm.
weird, and I can kind of like move around the object in like a hyperdimensional space almost, is what it feels like.
Cool.
And I'm kind of like seeing at it from different angles with all these different weird things, and I can take 100 images of it from all these different places in in a few minutes, and you know you wouldn't know that it was all from the same like area that I was at.
That sounds
So yeah, when I
nice.
would post an image a day on Instagram, I would make like, 50 a day and just post my favorite.
Hmm. Wow.
But it wouldn't take a lot of time to make because once you're in that spot, you could just, click, 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 click,
Okay.
click, move around and try to save. When there's a good spot, you try to save, because if you get too far off, you might not ever be able to get back. So you have
Okay.
to go back to that safe spot because the parameters are too fine.
Wow. It sounds like a quest. Why don't you plug your Instagram? Where can we see more of this wonderful stuff?
Yeah, it's NEZZY IDY, one word on
NEZZY IDY,
Instagram.
one word on Instagram, everybody.
Yeah.
Uh, get some dope fractal art. Brett on Facebook brought up Alien or Event Horizon right before you mentioned flying a ship. So that's well done, Brett.
Nice.
Um, that launches back into more music. It looks like there's, and tell me if I'm misinterpreting this, if there's another musical project associated with that fractal art. Tell me about this amazing stuff I'm hearing from the Vivid.
Yeah, so we use the fractal art for the cover image.
The Vivid is you.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's my wife and I's
It's you
project.
and your wife. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, so basically we have our studio here, and my wife and I both have our like gear area,
Hmm.
and if it's just me by myself and I'm in here, then I call it Nizzy Yiddy, and if both of us are in here, um, then if it's music with like a song structure and vocals, then we call it the Vivid.
Okay.
And if if it's either like more dance music oriented or just like has no vocals, and we call it Marmot.
Oh, okay.
So
So we're up to three projects
yeah,
just
yeah,
musically.
and really Marmot is really what I'm really excited by,
Okay.
and it's kind of sad because like when the pandemic hit, right as stuff started shutting down, we had two different Marmot gigs
Ah,
set up that had to get shut down, which I'm very glad. We were hoping they would get shut down because we already knew the virus was making, it was maybe not in San Francisco yet, but we were afraid that it was.
hmm
And so we're like, no, we don't want to do it. But like, it was also a bummer because like, we had just played a really good gig,
hmm
few weeks before, and we had a couple more bigger gigs lined up, and we were gonna do some recording, and because there's no like Marmot album.
Okay.
But yeah, it's when my wife and I, who goes by Luna Six,
Okay.
when it's all hardware, so no computer, no
Oh,
pre-recorded anything. We bring out analog synths and drum machines.
damn. Okay.
We do uh, we do basically like a techno slash electro party, um, and we've been getting really good feedback on that.
Kick ass. I was able to the Vivid exists on Bandcamp. Everybody check that out. It's great. Where can we find Marmot stuff? Does it exist at all on the internet?
There's a SoundCloud.
Okay, we'll find Marmot on
It's
SoundCloud.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's not super easy to find because there's multiple marmots, but yeah, it's there, but yeah, it's people will have to stay tuned
okay.
on
Well,
marmot release. I think.
I am rather excited by the concept, so I'm going to be checking that out after the show here. I want to jump back into the visual art for just a second because this is cool. You're working on a music video for Soraya. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, sort of if you're unfamiliar, Tuvon guy um, with a skinny puppy connection.
Okay, yeah. So Soraya is, yeah, he's a tuba and throat singer.
Mhm.
He traveled to Tuva and studied with tuba and throat singing masters.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, he has an instrument, a tuban instrument that he says nobody in the United States owns this instrument,
No kidding.
like, or at least knows how to play it. Like, and but yeah, but he's an American, and yeah, a long time friend of mine,
Cool.
Enrique, and but yeah, he is on Kevin Key's most recent
Okay.
solo album.
So cool.
Yeah.
Um, so you're working on this music video, and it must be cool because you've gotten accolades from David J. of Bauhaus.
Yeah, yeah, I just heard that. So right now we've got about 4 or 5 minutes of a 10-minute song
Wow.
wrapped up, and it's very like psychedelic, shamanic, um, kind of kind of like ayahuasca journey type song.
hmm
And so yeah, he reached out to me and said, yeah, can you make your art that I see on Instagram, can you make that move? And I was like, well, I did a test one time and made sure that I could do it,
Oh
but I
wow.
hadn't really made any, like, you know, anything to speak of.
Uh huh.
But yeah, I just started getting to work, and made some really cool trippy stuff, and he really liked it. And so he sent it to his friend David J. of Bauhaus, and he told me that, yeah, he was really into it. And
That's
yeah,
cool.
he's friends with those guys. He's gonna open up for them in Mexico pretty soon. When stuff opens up, like it was scheduled to happen and then it got
Hmm.
delayed, but it's still gonna happen supposedly. Um, and I think he's opened for them before too, but he's just, yeah, he knows those guys.
Badass. That's that's pretty awesome of you to have sort of recognized this opportunity when somebody says like, "Can you make this move?" and you go, "I yes."
Yeah,
I think I can do what you need me to do, man, but I'm not gonna let this opportunity slide. And you
it
sounds like
was a leap of faith.
uh
Yeah, but I've been wanting to do fractal video for a while,
mm,
but I just didn't. And this was like the thing where it's like, I need to do this. Like, let's make this happen. And
okay.
so, yeah.
Well, hell of a way to kick it off. Um, let's jump just all over the place to this because you just don't stop. You are speaking of fractals. You are multifaceted. The IMDb page. You have an IMDb page. Tell me about your experience as a professional sound editor, and do they introduce you to Buffalo Bill?
All right. So, yeah, I at some point decided to go to audio engineering school. So I got a bachelor's in sound engineering,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, went from that to yeah, working at an audio post-production studio in San Francisco called Disher Music and Sound. And yeah, worked there for 8 years and worked on, films, TV
Wow.
shows,
Okay.
corporate videos, um, and but yeah, a few really cool films came through, and yeah, one of them was by Bill Erickson, and it's called the Bantee Chapter. And so it's a horror movie that, yeah, you might like.
Okay.
And, um, but yeah, the plot is actually really cool. But yeah, there's a hyperdimensional monster, I
I'm
think
in.
I can say that without spoiling
Sounds
anything.
good. Sounds good.
And, but, yeah, it was actually the first 3D film released on the Oculus, and that's
Cool.
just like a weird random trivia, but yeah, I spent a lot of time with the director,
Uh huh.
and yeah, I was like the lead, sound editor slash sound designer. Working with the director and but with other teammates
Mm-hmm.
and and yeah, he's a really interesting guy and but yeah, um he told me some good stories about Buffalo Bill. So
Okay.
Ted Levine is one of the actors in the film, and so he was Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs. And I did not meet him
Okay.
because the film was already shot
Right.
before everything happened. So that's the answer to your question.
Yeah.
But
I always
I
wanted
did
to
hear a
work it
good
in.
story about him
Shoot.
that is kind of really funny. So when the director and the actor were working together, uh, Ted Levine told a story that one time he was driving his car and somebody was broken down on the road
Okay.
and needed a ride. So he went and he picked up a hitchhiker, but it was just kind of funny because it was just like who gets in the car when they roll up and they see Buffalo Bill in driver's seat. Like, are you gonna get in that car?
Does he ask if they're a size 14?
That's great.
and you have
Yeah,
to get
that
in the
is.
back of the big white van.
Yeah.
That's
It,
hilarious.
yeah.
Good stuff, man. I'm curious as to the actual process of that work. Is it like this really daunting technical like minutia where you got to match up? I don't know, this guy getting punched in the face with like a certain sound, or is there any crossover into like the NEZZY IDY sort of flow state?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so when I was in school, I did, we had classes in all sorts of different parts of audio engineering, including live
Hmm.
sound and, you know, um, various other things. But the thing that I worked the best with was the audio post classes
Hmm.
because it involved you go in a dark room where there's nobody and you're working by yourself and you can just focus
Hmm.
and just do a ton of work.
Cool.
And so, yeah, it's you bring in the video, and the video comes with audio that was in the video editor's program.
Hmm.
So when the video editor was assembling things, the video had audio associated with it, plus any effects that they dragged into that video editing software, and then we'd bring that into Pro Tools, and that's when you do all the sound editing.
Okay.
And so the sound editing involves, yeah, like syncing stuff up, deleting all the stuff that doesn't need to be there. Um, and that's a lot of work by itself.
Sounds
For
like
a
it.
whole film, there's a lot of cleanup that needs to happen. And and it's kind of relaxing to
Hmm.
do in a way. It requires a lot of mouse clicking and stuff,
Right.
and is a lot of work, but it's not draining
Okay.
for me. But then but not super creative in that part. But then you get into sound design and sound effects editing.
Hmm.
So basically, that's where you choose which sound effects to go in, or if there was Foley artists, you layer over the yeah, whatever sound effects the Foley artist made for that scene. And then but for say Banshee Chapter, we had a hyperdimensional entity coming in, and we had to come up with some creative sound design for that. So I'm
Wow.
going to, software synthesizers to make that, and using a lot of sound effects and all that stuff I'm very familiar with
Okay.
from being an electronic
Oh, okay.
musician.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I suppose if you could lend that skill set to anything, it would be uh, creating a soundscape for a hyperdimensional monster. That's
Yeah,
really awesome.
right?
Um, I wanna smash cut to this to be sure to get it in because it seems to be sort of a large part of your gestalt, if you will, which is Catabatic, the record label that has been going since 2001. That's awesome, man. Tell me about this journey with this label.
Yeah, so the label owner's named Michael Buchanan, and he's got a solo project called Identity Theft, and he's in a band that's been around forever, as far as I've known him, called Nomo Ogo. And I was very much drawn to these guys
Hmm.
because they were so cool and so weird, and they'd perform their weird electronic music on stage wearing like crazy robes
Hmm.
with weird Lovecraftian, like occult looking stuff. And the music was, I don't know, very, very like alien slash organic, interesting. And so I was like, I need to make friends with these guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, I met them in 2003,
Okay.
and yeah, it just basically every year the artist collective would have perform at a festival called Autonomous Mutant Festival,
Nice.
and there would be a Catabatic camp, and basically it'd be Catabatic artists, basically artists who were friends,
Mm.
friends and friends of friends would play there, but it would be, one night would be like black metal night.
Okay. Cool.
But other nights would be, yeah, experimental noise or performance art or, ritual performance, and
Nice.
but all outside, deep in a forest,
That is
and
so cool.
it would be just a really out there experience, and so I was just like all about it. Like it
Hmm.
was my top of my list of things to do every year was to, help be involved in those kinds of things. And then I moved into the Katabatic compound, we'd call it. The Katabatic house had a bunch of rooms and stuff. So um, yeah, we would throw, we started a monthly. So for many years, we would have a, monthly event that we would throw. And yeah, the Catabatic Collective is made up of the people who were, involved in the meetings and also the people who would perform there. Like
Wow.
once you perform once, you're basically a Catabatic artist,
Gotcha.
And so we would just kind of grow, and then we would have our own kind of private festival that's just the Katabatic um, summer solstice festival that we would have, and it would bring like hundreds of people.
Get out. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, and it would be like almost 24 hours a day of
Wow.
music. Like definitely like through uh through till sunrise and past sunrise
Holy
on the
shit.
weekends. We would be making music, and the music might be off, from like 11 to 3 or something,
Yeah. Weird.
in the daytime while people are like waking up or
Right.
something.
Just coming
Um,
back online for a second.
yeah, but yeah, it was, yeah, I'm very connected to all of them.
That
It's
sounds
kind of like
amazing,
a
man.
family, and yeah, but the record label's still going strong. But the events have slowed down. The A lot of people moved away.
Mm.
Core members moved away, and a lot of things were kind of destabilized by the ghost ship fire.
Hmm.
So yeah, basically three of our like homies died in
Oof.
the ghost ship fire that killed a bunch of people.
Oh
So
man, that sounds
yeah,
rough.
that was really traumatic for all of us. We were very close to our friends Joey Cassio, Jonathan Birnbaum, and Barrett Clark, and yeah, they were all involved in our community, and
Wow.
we'd be at birthday parties
Right.
together and all that, and um, but yeah, I was there outside the fire, and
Get
spent,
out.
yeah, I was on my way there, yeah, like, and so when it started, so I spent the night wrapped in Red Cross blankets and searching around the building, seeing if anyone got out, and calling people up, telling their girlfriend that we think they might be in there,
Holy
and
shit. That
then
sounds
after,
intense.
yeah, I mean, it was really hard. And so yeah, that's part of why I went to making fractal art too, was because it was just like I don't know, like it just seemed like something to do, like
Mm.
my intuition was just pulling me that way instead of music. Like I kind of just needed to take a break, I
Right.
guess.
Just get out of your
Uh,
head for a second.
yeah, but yeah, I've done a lot of healing,
Uh huh.
and Yeah, I'm, definitely back in the studio again,
That's
and yeah,
amazing. That's an amazing. It continues to be, I would imagine. Don't let me put words in your mouth. An amazing journey. Just sort of channeling all that chaos, man. That is really. I want to say impressive, but I don't know if that's the right word because it comes from such darkness. But wow, that's really
yeah,
intense, man.
yeah,
Uh,
it really is.
cool. Well, I
But
mean, not cool, but like it's. I now I understand a little bit more about that world. Is what I mean to say. That's.
yeah, it's a part of our history.
Do you find that comes through in NEZZY IDY at all, or is that not bled into that sphere yet?
It does. I
Okay.
mean, so on my solo album on Catabatic Records,
Mm-hmm.
that one, I used samples from my friend Barrett who died.
Mm-hmm.
I inherited his 606.
Okay.
So I sampled his 606 and I made that album be very 606 heavy, and
With his
I
actual. Oh my
his
God.
yeah, his drum
Wow.
sounds. Yeah.
That is a talk about us like a isolating a moment in time musically as much as you can. That's pretty stalwart, man.
Yeah. I also used lots of 303 in that album, which is kind of the way I've been going, but my friend Barrett who died, he was like who got me into the
Mm-hmm.
303.
Yeah.
And I don't have dreams at all about the fire, but I have a lot of dreams about him.
Okay.
And in one of my dreams about him, he lived in a house and it was a giant 303. Like, it looked like a giant 303. And you had to, yeah, walk in
Oh,
the door to
oh,
get in.
did you have to follow like that repeating line of lights down
Eh,
through the rooms,
Right.
and
Yeah, totally.
like every time like every modulation's like I don't know like a turn in like a kitchen, so you're like I don't know.
Yeah,
303
totally.
jokes. We'll make that work somehow.
Yeah.
Um, you and your wife uh, now, well, or maybe not now. Tell me, throw live events or at least attempts to organize them,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
So we have a sound system now. It's called La Magia. So that's the new sound of our sound system crew that we're going to be doing stuff with events here.
okay.
And yeah, we've been hired to bring our sound to a bunch of really cool events here in San Francisco
Okay.
pre-pandemic. So
Okay.
so yeah, it would be, there were many months of us, bringing our sound system and even Voltroning it with a Catabatic sound system, to, do like kind of all night parties in San Francisco and other cool parties, like at the Stud. And but yeah, the pandemic happened, and
Hmm.
we had three sound gigs. We were hired for three sound gigs that all got canceled. You
Sucks,
know,
man.
yeah, yeah. So it's kind of weird because as soon as the pandemic happened, everything got put on hold, and I really don't know what it's going to be
Mm.
like when stuff opens up.
Okay.
But we have our speakers, and when the laws say that we can have a party, we're going to have a party, and we'll do it in whatever safest way that is responsible, But yeah, hopefully
That's
the laws.
Lamakia.
What's that?
Lamakia. How do you say
Oh,
that?
La Magia. So
Lamahia.
it's the magic in Spanish.
Understood. You want to check that out? I'm sorry, I cut you off. What were you gonna say? Once.
Oh, yeah. So Um, I forgot what I was
No,
saying.
you were talking once the laws open back up and allow you to.
Oh yeah, there's in California, the schedule is that in June you can start to have
Okay.
some safe quasi quasi indoor events.
Okay, awesome.
And I don't know if that's going to happen,
Oh,
but
well,
it's we'll see. We're kind of hoping, we're kind of planning as if it does stay on schedule. I know a lot of people are vaccinated.
mhm.
My wife and I are both vaccinated, and so, you know, hopefully between masks for people who aren't vaccinated, or hopefully many more people be vaccinated by then. We'll see. But at least I think outdoor parties would be able to happen.
Okay.
So um, yeah, so
Awesome. Yeah, I
that's
hope
something
so,
that
man.
we plan to do, and we have some some plans for some really cool things that we've got
Awesome.
scheming.
Well, very cool. Well, everybody check out La Magia. Hopefully we can get back to quote unquote normal. I know I'm Jones and I had some cool live gigs lined up that, we'll see if we can reschedule, but
Yeah, I'm sure.
answer this question however you want. But speaking of sort of California or just localities in general, give me your vibe of San Francisco. Like, I have a little bit of experience with San Francisco, but not a ton. Like, what's sticking out to you right now about like an overall vibe?
Yeah, so I mean, it's hard to say like right now because I can only say for what it was like before the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic. And I don't know that it's gonna, how similar it will be after.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, the rents got astronomically high,
Okay.
and they really did push out a lot of artists.
Oh no shit.
So a lot of artists moved to Oakland,
Okay.
but then the prices in Oakland went up.
It's kind of the
And
cycle.
so it's people just got pushed further and further out. I'm actually in a small town that's, um, you know, I used to live
Mm-hmm.
in Oakland, and then I moved a little bit further out, a little bit
Yeah.
further out, and kind of leapfrogged over. Um, but yeah, I love where I am now, but it's just, I wouldn't be able to afford to live
Hmm.
in the city, or at least I wouldn't want to because I wouldn't want to pay that much money. And so that does alter the artist community.
Hmm.
I mean, when I was, yeah, I mean, like, let's say in the late 90s and 2000, there was a very, very, you know, big counterculture presentation. There was, yeah, just you'd go out and you'd see freaks all over the
Mm-hmm.
place,
Right.
and lots of, you know, I don't know, just lots of goth clubs and
Totally.
big events, and people are still there, and but a lot's changed since then. I mean, the internet is now a thing. People meet up on the web instead of out in
Okay.
public. There's less of a reason to, yeah, just be out with your freak flag high.
Mm-hmm.
And but I will say it feels kind of, a little bleak
Mm-hmm.
sometimes in San Francisco. But there are some really cool stuff still
Okay.
happening.
Good to hear.
So yeah, it's just you just kind of have to know who to follow on social media or whatever to find some cool parties, but they might be more intimate.
Okay. Interesting. I'm glad I asked. I had no idea. I want to jump back into Nezzy stuff because it's just so dope. Um, if let's say four, we do love our hypotheticals here on Space Couch. Four of your musical influences have gotten together to create the classic Dungeons and Dragons party. I need you to give me who would be the following of the NEZZY IDY musical influences: fighter, wizard, thief, and cleric slash healer.
All right, very interesting. So for warrior
Mm-hmm.
or fighter, I'm gonna go with Skinny Puppy.
Okay.
because they are brutal
It's
and
totally.
they sound like some kind of wraith or orc that's getting like shoved through a interdimensional
There
portal or
you go.
something, and
They
with
they
their
sh-
like, crazy like death machines.
and because ogre and says
Yeah,
Furroy, they would show up to the battle already covered in blood, and
yeah, yeah.
they
They pre-bathe in blood before
and if you roll a
arriving.
20, they get a VX gas attack. Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
and
And let's see. The next one is the wizard. You said
yes,
I'm gonna have to go with Coil for that.
okay, good call.
Yeah, I'm a huge Coil fan. I know all their albums, and they have over 30 releases, and yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with them.
Awesome.
But they are, yeah, just very like mysterious and occult,
Okay,
and you just know that um, they'd be out casting like magic circles and bringing
totally,
in demons or something out there.
100%. What do you have for the thief or the rogue or whatever?
Cool. So for the thief, um, I'm gonna go with Ross Williams of
Okay,
Christian Death. Yeah, he's a big influence of mine. I really relate to him, and he was one of the early goth death rock
hmm
weirdos, and he would wear dresses, and I always yeah, looked up to him as sort of a role model because there weren't that many men who wore dresses at
okay.
that time, and that's something that I like to do.
Talk about going rogue.
Yeah, and so yeah, he's a shapeshifter, and but also he was known to walk around LA in plain clothes, and just like, be wearing his
hmm
sneakers or whatever, and like diehard goths would be like, "Whoa, why is he wearing that?" Like, he's not wearing the uniform,
right.
but you might not know seeing him that he's about to go on stage with you know, premature ejaculation to go do some
Right.
like performance art where he's like chopping off baby heads and
Right.
like screaming like
Well, I
weird
mean,
Bible passages.
even just to call your band Christian Death in 1980 whatever was like, oh my, it's shocking and
Yeah.
mind blowing. I noticed you used the word androgynous in the description for NEZZY IDY. Do you find a lot of like with Roz Williams type stuff? Do you consider like a pretty shape shifting, not pigeonholed? I want to say type of project.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I usually perform wearing a dress,
hmm
but not always. It's just whatever I feel like wearing, but um it's something that I enjoy doing. And yeah, I consider myself a male, but I like to look beautiful and just wear things that make me feel good. And I also feel that it's a form of activism, because it's um, it's breaking the rules
hmm
of normal society. There's rules of what men and women can and can't do, and they're just really arbitrary.
Right.
And yeah, I would like to normalize people wearing whatever they want to wear.
Awesome.
And yeah,
Love it.
so I'm always glad when I see some kind of celebrity, you know, wearing alternative attire on Saturday Night Live. Um, Kid Cudi just was on there, and he performed his set in a dress, and I thought that was really cool.
Awesome. Awesome. Uh, and we need the cleric and or healer.
Oh yes, the cleric. Um, I'm gonna go with Tangerine Dream.
Cool.
I'm a really big Tangerine Dream fan, and so, but I like the stuff that they made in the 70s
Mm-hmm.
and early 80s only.
Okay.
And actually some of their newer stuff too, actually. But I'm just obsessed with all their 70s recordings. They're so good, but they are yeah, just very they are like hypnotic and
Mm-hmm.
transport you to another place. People would put it in the like new age category, and so yeah, it's very like kind of soothing
Mm-hmm.
and healing, but it's not new age in kind of a cliche way. It was kind of it was very just dark
Yeah.
um and heavy and like rich with emotion, and yeah, kind of, yeah, would really take me to another place.
Totally, totally. Yeah, Tangerine Dream. I don't know ever if they ever got the cred they deserve for the like darkness. Like there's this real sort of cinematic sinisterness, I think, to some of their stuff. That's such a good call. All right, we did it. All right,
We did it.
we got the NEZZY IDY D&D party. Um, we'll knock these out quickly. If you could have a biopic made of anybody, who do you think that would be?
I would choose Coil.
Okay,
I'm
good call.
Yeah, I would love to learn more about them. There's actually a book written about them already, but not just about them. It's called no, England's Hidden Reverse, and it's about Throbbing Gristle and the birth of what's called industrial music,
Right,
because they invented the term,
right.
and then all the side projects that kind of descended from there, including Psychic TV, Coil,
Hmm.
Nurse with Wound, and a bunch of other stuff. And yeah, I'm just so interested in that moment in history and all the stuff that was happening there.
Oh, it's such a good call. Yeah, and I'm really excited about like what a coil biopic would look like. Um, we we're out on this rogue flight path out here in space, and we're going to bring this flying couch back on into the station. I want to know. Uh, we usually end on what is next for the mighty NEZZY IDY. So we've talked about um, getting back into live events with once the pandemic stuff gets sorted out. We want to check out upcoming magicalness. Pardon the pun from La Magia
Yep.
and Marmot. Um, we want to check out the Vivid. Anything else, or anything else we should be on the lookout for from NEZZY?
Yeah, no, that covers it.
Okay. Well, super excited for the Marmot stuff. You want to check out NEZZY IDY not only on Bandcamp and SoundCloud, but Instagram as well for some amazing fractal art. Uh, this has been a really wonderful episode of Space Couch. Thank you so much for your time. I learned so much. So this is Brian for Space Couch, for Emmett, for NEZZY IDY, saying, call the spaceships to Davenport, prepare for Devanarchy, and interface with a couch in space. Space Couch out. Thanks, man. Bye.
Beam me out.
Yeah. Awesome. That was such a fun episode. Thank you so much for your time.
Cool. Yeah, that was fun. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
Yeah. This, I mean, you know the way it works. Like, it'll be out on Facebook or whatever, and they'll link you to like, the audio version and
Cool.
stuff. All right, thanks, man. I will hopefully maybe we'll get out to the West Coast or something someday. But really, thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
catch you later.
All right. Talk to you sometime.
Oop. Oy.